Growing up, I always felt like life was steady and predictable. I had my routines, my home, and the things that made me feel secure. I valued that predictability until one night when my world changed in an unexpected way. It wasn't anything major, just a small disruption, but it marked the beginning of a journey that would challenge everything I thought I knew about myself. It started with a simple sound. The clattering of a trash bin knocked over in the middle of the night startled me awake. I was already annoyed this had happened before. I figured it was the stray dogs again, but little did I know that this minor disturbance would lead me to meet two people who would disrupt my quiet life in unimaginable ways. I groggily made my way to the back door, club in hand, irritated by the all-too-familiar mess outside. For the third time that week, I'd been woken up by the sound of trash cans being knocked over. I was fed up with cleaning up someone else's problem. Why couldn't people keep their pets under control? While I understood the animals were probably hungry, it didn't ease my frustration. I cautiously opened the gate, ready to deal with the nuisance. As I neared the overturned garbage, I saw two shadowy figures standing by the mess, and my grip on the club tightened as they noticed me. "Please, sir, we're just hungry," one of them said. "We'll clean everything up. Don't hurt us." These weren't dogs. They were children. But they certainly seemed wild. It was dark, so I grabbed them by their collars and dragged them into the backyard under the security lights. I picked them up to get a better look. They were scruffy and dirty, dressed in oversized, ragged clothes and baseball caps. It was cold out, and I saw them shivering. "Did you two knock over my trash earlier this week?" I asked. They exchanged glances. "Yeah, you always throw out something like pizza or food," one of them replied. "I'm sorry we did this. We won't do it again. Just let us go. We'll clean everything up." "This won't do." I gripped their shirts tightly and led them inside. I brought them straight to the bathroom, pushed them in, and shut the door. "Don't come out until I'm back," I said. I went and grabbed some of my ex-wife's sweatpants, sweatshirts, clean socks, and big fluffy towels. When I returned, they had tried to open the window to escape. "You might like being dirty," I said, "but I doubt a hot shower will hurt you. There's soap and shampoo here. These are clean clothes and towels. Get undressed and get in the shower." "We don't like being dirty," the larger one growled. "We just don't have a shower as nice as yours." "Are you going to stand there the whole time? You probably think we'll steal something," I said. "Yeah, right," the kid snapped. "We're not going to steal your toilet paper. We're not thieves. What, are you some kind of creep? You into little girls?" I was shocked. Now that I looked closer, beneath all that dirt, they were definitely girls. I didn't realize you were girls. Just clean yourselves up and I'll get you something to eat. Come to the kitchen when you're done." I left them in the bathroom and headed to the kitchen. I opened the fridge and took stock. There was cold fried chicken, half a bowl of potato salad, a tray of veggies, some sandwich pastrami, and dill pickles. I split the chicken between two plates, 3 pieces each, and added a big scoop of potato salad. I put some veggies on a plate with dip, threw a few pickles on the side, and made pastrami sandwiches for each of them. I even added some chips for good measure. Hopefully, they'd like the Munster cheese, mayo, and mustard on their sandwiches. I heard the bathroom door creak open, followed by hushed whispers outside the kitchen. A minute later, 2 of the most beautiful girls I'd ever seen stepped into the room. They had long, jet-black hair, olive skin, and the brightest green, almond-shaped eyes I'd ever seen, along with high cheekbones and the cutest little noses. They looked like they were still in their early teens, maybe around 11 or 12. It was amusing to see them in Brianna's clothes. She's tall, and they were tiny, with their sleeves and pant legs rolled up, looking a bit like tramps. "Have a seat," I said, offering them a chair. "Do you want Coca-Cola, or I have juice or milk?" They both asked for milk. "My name is McKay North," I said as I poured the milk and placed it in front of them. "What are your names?" "My name's Maggie," said the older one, short for Margaret. "This is Stokely." "Can we really eat all this?" she asked. "You can have more if you want sandwiches," I replied. "But I'm not cooking at 2 a.m. I'll make something in the morning." "No, this is great, thank you," Stokely said, while Maggie eyed me warily. "What do you want from us? We don't do any dirty stuff," Maggie said suspiciously. I laughed. "Neither do I. If either of you had designs on my virtue, you'd be disappointed." They didn't seem to get my humor. "I'm not into little girls," I added. They didn't like being called little girls, but they started eating, and fast, like wolves. "Hey, slow down," I told them. "The chickens aren't going anywhere. They're dead, and the potatoes were never fast. You'll hurt your stomach." This made them giggle, and they started eating more slowly. "Where do you two live?" I asked. There's an empty house at the end of the block, Maggie answered. We found a mattress and some blankets, but we're afraid pill dependents might move in. Once they know it's empty, they will... How about sleeping in a warm, clean bed tonight? I offered. They looked at me suspiciously again. Not mine, I laughed. I have 3 extra bedrooms. Well, they're mine too, but you know what I mean. They laughed nervously. We don't have any money, Stokely said. We can't pay you. We just collect cans, but we spend all our money on food. I'm not asking for money, I said. Did I say anything about you paying me? Why are you doing this? She asked. Why are you so kind to us, Mac? Call me Mac, I said. Everyone does. Why are you being so nice, Mac? Maggie pressed. I'm not trying to be cute, I told her. I'm a good guy. Just ask my mom. This brought smiles to their faces, and I liked it. I made a mental note to get them to smile more often. If I were in your shoes, I'd want someone to be kind to me, I said. They seemed to be thinking it over. Can I have some of these chips? Stokely asked. I pushed the bag toward them, and they both reached in while continuing to eat their sandwiches. I finished my own and noticed they were still hungry, so I poured them more milk. They drank it all and cleaned their plates, even the vegetables. They must have been starving. Go to bed, I told them. Each of you has your own bathroom. There are toothbrushes, combs, and other things like that. Aspirin, stomach medicine, toothpaste, and dental floss are in the first aid kits. If you need anything else, just ask. Can we lock the doors? Maggie asked. Yes, but if I knock, you have to open them within a reasonable time, I said. They exchanged a glance. Then Maggie's green eyes lit up. He thinks we'll steal something, she told Stokely. Don't worry, Mac, we won't take anything. It's okay if you don't trust us. We don't really trust you either. I had to laugh. Fair enough. We have mutual distrust. But you'll soon learn you can trust me. I almost never hurt beautiful girls. This brought another set of dazzling smiles. They followed me down the hallway to their rooms. I heard the locks click and smiled to myself. As I returned to bed, I lay awake for a while wondering what had happened to these girls. Why were they digging through my trash? Why were they alone? Where was their family? I planned to get some answers in the morning. I was getting dressed when I heard the floorboards creaking in the hall. I cracked the door open and saw them sneaking toward the living room. I figured they were about to leave, so I stepped out. They froze. Girls, are you ready for breakfast? I asked. They looked at each other. Maybe we should just leave, Maggie said. You're not going to lock us up or anything, are you? You mean make you stay? I asked. They glanced at each other again and nodded. No, I won't force you to stay, I said. That's not how I do things, but I'd love for you to have breakfast with me. They looked at each other once more. Will you let us go after? Stokely asked. If that's what you want, I said. Though I was hoping you'd spend the day with me, but if you have somewhere else to be, that's okay. Yeah, we've got to meet our stockbroker, Maggie quipped, her face lighting up like a Christmas tree. So, what's for breakfast? No, what are you going to feed us? She corrected herself. Are you an English teacher or something? Actually, yes, I said. I teach English literature at the university. Cool, Stokely said. We don't go to school. Too busy. But you're having breakfast, right? I was thinking waffles and bacon. Sound good? It did. So we headed to the kitchen. They got out the waffle iron while I mixed the batter, and they made waffles while I fried 2 pounds of bacon. I'm kind of a syrup snob. I'm a coffee snob, too. I let Maggie turn the bacon while I ground the coffee beans. Everything came together nicely, and we had real maple syrup and waffles. They horrified me by asking for coffee creamer, but I kept some around for the barbarians and Brianna, and they loved the vanilla flavor. We ate all the bacon, and they each had 3 waffles. Stick with me, girls, and in a week you'll be as fat as toads, I joked. They laughed, and it was the best sound I'd ever heard. Then they gulped down milk like hungry calves. My pantry was definitely going to need restocking. So, tell me about Maggie and Stokely, I asked. What's going on with you two? Why are you digging through people's trash for food? We took our coffee into the living room, and they shared their sad story. Their father had been a car mechanic. He lost his job when they were young, which led him to start drinking and abusing them. Their mother eventually divorced him, and they never saw him again. The economy in Detroit was falling apart, making it hard to find work. Their mom drove a taxi to support them, but one night she picked up the wrong passenger. He stabbed her for the little money she had and left her to bleed to end of life. The girls were put into foster care, but the foster homeowner began maltreating them. They ran away and lived on the streets for 3 months. Their last name was Steele, and they constantly worried about freezing to end of life. being maltreated or eliminated, and where their next meal would come from. I sat quietly after they finished their story. My heart broke for them. I wondered how many more kids like them were out there, living the same story. This was probably more common than I had ever realized. I wondered if they'd let me help them, and how I even could. It seemed unlikely that children's services would let them stay with me. A single man housing 2 young girls? It sounded like something a carnivore would dream up, and I doubted social services would allow it. They interrupted my thoughts. "Mac, are you married?" Stokely asked. "I was," I replied, "but my ex thought I wasn't ambitious enough. She's a hotshot lawyer and has been all over. There was no room for marriage in her life." "What a witch," Maggie commented. I laughed. "She's actually a really good person. She didn't cheat or anything, and we're still close friends. We both agreed we should never have gotten married. We were too young and too dumb." "How old are you?" Stokely asked. "I'm 28, I told her. "How old are you?" "I'm 11, and she's 13, Stokely answered. "What are you doing today?" I asked. "What are we doing today?" She corrected herself. "Yes, what you said." "We're going to talk," I said, "and I'll introduce you to someone." I opened the garage door, and suddenly a mass of fur came bounding in. He spotted our guests and leaped onto the sofa, settling on their laps and licking them with his big pink tongue. "This is Granville," I said, "but I call him Grandma." The girls burst into giggles as the dog covered them with licks. At 130 pounds, they could barely move him. "Lie down, Grandma," I commanded, and he reluctantly settled on their legs. "He's huge," Stokely laughed, stroking his head. "What kind of dog is this? He's striped like a tiger." "He's a bull mastiff," I explained. "That's why he has that brindle color." "He looks like he could bite our faces off," Maggie said. "Yes, he could, but he won't. He's gentle with my friends. He sees you here being kind, so he loves you. If you were threatening, he'd get aggressive. Now that he knows you, he won't let anyone be mean to you. If I yell at you, he won't like it. He protects the people he cares about." Stokely slid down and wrapped her arms around the dog's neck as he licked her hand. "I love him," she said. "He's so wrinkly and cute." "Does he live in the garage?" she asked. "No, he lives in the house," I replied. "He got sick yesterday, so I put him outside to avoid a mess." "What made him sick?" Stokely asked. "He eats things he shouldn't. Sticks, bugs, dead stuff." "You name it. He seems fine now, though." "Gross," Maggie said. "He licked my face." "Yeah, he's a bit disgusting, but he's my buddy. He'll be your buddy too if you let him. We should take him for a walk." I grabbed his leash, and Maggie wanted to lead him. But really the dog led her, dragging her a few yards ahead of Stokely and me. Stokely slipped her small hand into mine, and I looked down at her. She smiled up at me. She was so beautiful. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Of course, sweetheart," I said. "I like holding hands with pretty girls." She blushed a little, but didn't let go. We walked for a couple of miles, and by the time we got back, Granville was panting and drooling. It was cold out, but he didn't seem to care. We drank more coffee and talked for the rest of the day. Eventually, I asked them if they'd let me help them. "What can you do?" Maggie asked. "I'm not sure," I admitted, "but I could talk to Brianna. She's a lawyer, though a different kind. Maybe she'll have some ideas." "Is this the same witch?" Maggie asked. "Maggie, stop calling her that. She's not a witch. Do you trust me?" I asked. They exchanged looks and nodded. "Yeah, I guess," Stokely said. "You've been really kind to us." "Okay, let's call her and see if she can come over. I think you'll like her. Just give her a chance." Brianna was busy, but agreed to come over for dinner. Bree is a tall, stunning redhead, and even though she doesn't realize it, she's incredibly sexy. When she walked in, I could tell the girls were impressed. She kissed me until my toes curled, then hugged both girls. "You've replaced me?" she teased, winking at them. "No, Bree, you're irreplaceable," I joked. She beamed, clearly pleased. I explained to the girls that Bree and I were still good friends, and we were. We had a friends with benefits kind of relationship. We still had great sex, sometimes once a week, sometimes more. Occasionally, she'd stay with me for a week, and we'd have sex like rabbits. But she didn't have time for a husband, and I doubted she ever would. We loved each other, but we couldn't make marriage work. As friends, we were great, but as a married couple, we fought constantly. "So, who are your new girlfriends?" she asked, smiling at them. I saw they were dazzled. "I'm Maggie, and this is Stokely." "Nice to meet you," Bree said. You know this guy's dangerous, right? Not to us, Stokely said. But he could be to someone who's his enemy. He has a club and a very big dog. Bree nudged Granville with her boot, and he grumbled in his sleep. Hey, big guy. She knelt down and hugged him. Miss me? He rolled his eyes but didn't have the energy to lift his head. What's going on, Mac? She asked. What did you need to talk about? Not that I mind coming over for dinner. He's a great cook, girls, if you can get him motivated. I think he made lamb chops, Maggie said. We've never had anything like this before. Well, sounds like I'm in for a treat, but seriously, what's the big deal? She asked again. During dinner, I explained. We need your help, Bree, I said. We don't know anything about legal stuff. The girls are orphans. Their dad might be alive, but no one knows where he is. He abandoned them and their mom was eliminated. They ended up in foster care where some creep started maltreating them. They ran away and have been living on the streets. I found them digging through my trash, and now we're trying to figure out how to keep them from going back to that life. She looked at me for a moment. You want them, don't you? She said, exhaling. Jesus, Mac, you've always wanted kids. And because I didn't give you any, you want them, don't you? I blushed. Yeah, I kind of do. What do you think, Bree? What's the best way to handle this? I don't think it's possible, she said. No family court is going to give you 2 young girls. You're a single guy. It's a disaster waiting to happen. They won't allow it. I looked at the girls, and their wide eyes were on me. What? I asked. They exchanged glances and suddenly burst into tears, running up to hug me. You wanted to keep us? Stokely sobbed. I can't believe it. I never thought we'd find anyone. Anyone. She couldn't finish through the tears. I held them tight. Yes, girls, I did think about it. You need someone to look after you, and I need someone to look after me. I thought we could figure this out together. Their small bodies trembled as they clung to me. I looked at Bree, helpless, as tears streamed down her face. She glanced from the girls to me. Damn it, Mac. Look what you've done to me. Just when I think I've got you figured out, you surprise me. What am I going to do with you? She had a strange expression, like she was seeing me in a new light. Give me a few days to think. Girls, you're coming with me. You can't stay here with Mac. It'll ruin everything if anyone finds out. Mac, we're taking Grandma too. I can't stay home without him, and you'll have to look after the girls. She whisked them and the dog out the door like a whirlwind and into her Mercedes. I'll call you, she said. Over the next 2 weeks, she called me for about 30 seconds 3 times, but I didn't see her or the girls. Then on a Friday morning, she called and asked to meet for dinner at Alfonso's, a little Italian place in Pontiac that we frequented. When I arrived, she was already at the bar, with guys hovering around her. The moment she saw me, she jumped up, leaving them in the dust. We walked to our usual booth, but this time she sat next to me instead of across the table, which was unusual. We ordered, and she stayed quiet for a bit. Finally, she said, You know I love you, right, Mac? Yes, and I love you too, I replied. I'm not talking about loving your mom or anything like that. I'm in love with you, Mac. I always have been, ever since that day at Cedar Point. You're the only man I've ever loved or will ever love, she said. I trust you completely. I love everything about you, except the part where we were married. You know I need to be free. No commitments, no baggage, no ties. I love my job and my life, but I don't love them more than I love you, and I don't have to choose. You're as faithful as Grandma. We've got an understanding. I don't sleep with anyone but you, never have. You always got that about me, which is why what I'm about to say is going to sound crazy. Ooh, I joked. Sounds like I'm in for a shock. She gave me a look. Yes, you are. Will you marry me, Mac? I nearly choked on my wine. Getting wine in your lungs is not ideal. Once I recovered, I just sat there stunned, my mouth open. Stop being an idiot and answer me, she barked. Hell no, I finally managed. Why, Bree, we make each other miserable. In a month, we'll be at each other's throats. What's wrong with how things are now? Nothing, she admitted. This isn't about us. It's about the sweetest, most adorable girls on the planet. Mac, I'm completely in love with them. You wrecked my life by inviting me over that night. They're desperate to see you. Every night, they beg and cry to come see you. But I'm not giving them up. I've never been happier than I am with them, and no judge would give us custody. Not to me, not to you, not to either of us alone. But if we were married, they'd give them to us in a heartbeat. So I need them. And if I need them, I need you. If you want them, you'll have to deal with me too. Can we do this, Mac? I doubt it, I told her. You're as bad as me. You come home drunk, you're never on time for anything except work, and half the time you don't come home at all. Bree, we've been through this. I know, but what if things are different now? I can't wait to come home to them. I always call when I'm running late, and since they've been with me, I only have 1 glass of wine a night. I didn't know I could feel this way. Marry me, Mac. Give me a chance. We should talk this over, I said. Then talk. What are we doing here? You think I'm joking around? Tell me what's going on. Should I start? I signaled the waiter for more wine. Go ahead. What drives me crazy about you is your need to control me, she said. You have to know every detail. Where I am, who I'm with, what I'm doing, when I'll be home. You're paranoid. If you could just stop trying to control me, we'd still be married. But you can't help it. You know you're the only man I've ever cared about, right? Yeah, I do, I said. It used to drive me nuts. I was always worried you'd find someone else and leave me. That's never going to happen, she promised. I've never even considered another man since the day I met you. Sure, I go to dinners and dances with clients and colleagues, but that's just what I do. No one has touched me, and no one ever will. Do you believe me? Yes, and it's the same for me. I trust you, Bree. I know you'll never hurt me. I've always been in love with you, and I think you feel the same way. We were comfortable where we were. Well, I'm not comfortable anymore, she said. Those girls need a family. I love them almost as much as I love you, more than my job. And I want to be part of their lives. The only way that happens is if we do this together. Will you give me a chance, Mac? Will you marry me so we can be a family? I'll never have kids of my own. I'm too selfish for that. But these girls, we can take care of them. Marry me, and I'll make you happier than you've ever been. Okay, clearly you've had time to think about this, I said. Give me a little time too, okay? She looked at her watch. You got 20 minutes, she said. Wait, what? Do I have a deadline? I asked. Yeah, the girls are waiting outside. They'll be here in 10 minutes, and after a quick walk with Grandma, a car will pick us up and take us home. We quickly finished our food and stepped outside. A limo was waiting, but the girls were nowhere in sight. The driver mentioned they were walking the dog. He didn't seem too happy about it, probably not a fan of dog drool on the seats. After a few minutes, I saw the girls hurrying toward us. Let's go, Maggie said as they approached. Some guy was watching us and Grandma doesn't like him. He growled at him. I looked down the street and saw a young man walking our way. He looked about 20, with tattoos, piercings, a knit cap, and a hoodie. His sagging pants barely stayed on. He probably thought he looked intimidating. What are you staring at? He snapped at me. Nothing. We're just leaving, I replied. It's all yours. Nice jacket, fancy car, pretty women, he sneered. Looks like you've got some cash. The guy was nuts. I stood a good 8 inches taller than him and outweighed him by at least 100 pounds. No beer belly either. You better move along, kid, I told him. My dog really doesn't like you. He got about 4 feet from us. I'm not scared of any dog, he said. How much cash you got on you? He reached under his jacket and I caught a glimpse of metal. I kicked him square in the chest, sending him flying backward. A weapon fell out of his pants. Maggie lost her grip on Granville's leash as he lunged. The guy managed to protect his face with his arm, but I heard the crunch as Granville broke his forearm. He screamed, and Granville shredded his sleeve. Granville, down, I commanded. He backed off, sitting by my side. The guy writhed on the ground as I knelt next to him, Granville close by. Take it, Grandma, I said. Granville lunged forward, his jaws closing near the guy's neck. I think you're an idiot, I told him. What are you, some kind of moron? He nodded, fear etched on his face. Say it, I demanded. He didn't respond. Bite, Grandma, I ordered. The guy whimpered as blood trickled from where Granville's teeth grazed his neck. The sound of Granville's breathing filled the air. Say it, I repeated. I'm an idiot, he whispered. How much money do you have on you? I asked. Hand it over. He reached into his pocket, but Granville squeezed a little harder. Slowly, I warned. He pulled out a wad of cash and handed it to me. Let him go, Grandma, I said. Granville released him, and the guy scrambled backward. I'll give you a 20-yard head start, I told him. Then I'm sending the dog after you. Better run fast. He bolted like a sprinter, but his pants fell halfway down. He stumbled, yanked them up with his good hand, and took off. You need a belt, I called after him. I turned back to the girls, who stood there with their mouths hanging open. I kicked the weapon into a storm drain. What? I asked. Bree was the first to speak. You're one nasty son of a witch, Mac. Remind us never to piss you off? The girls rushed over, and I hugged them. Oh my God, Mac, Stokely whispered into my chest. I thought that guy was scary, but you didn't even break a sweat. You did it for us, didn't you? Well, nobody messes with my girls, I told her. He even left you a little something for your college fund. I handed her the cash. She counted it. $700. The guy must have mugged a few people recently. She split it with Maggie, and we got into the limo. As I leaned back, hugging Maggie, I noticed something. A van's coming for us, I said. I know, Bree replied. It's got some of our stuff. I raised an eyebrow. Yeah, I know I take a lot for granted, she laughed. Girls, I said, yes, Bree and I will get married again, and you'll stay with us. The girls gasped and screamed. Really? Maggie asked. She's really not a witch. You were right. We love Bree. She's been so good to us. We have all these new clothes, and she got us into this amazing school. We'll make you both proud. I promise. We know you will, sweetheart. Don't worry, Bree reassured them. I was still in shock, trying to form words, but nothing came out. Mac, you okay? Stokely asked. Bree chuckled. No, he's in full panic mode. His perfectly ordered world is about to get flipped upside down. His house is spotless, everything in perfect condition. Now he'll have underwear hanging in the shower, mixed up books, and drink rings on the coffee table, and it'll drive him crazy. I don't even know how he handles living with Granville. We'll just have to love him enough that he won't care about crumbs on the table. Think we can do that? I think we can, Maggie laughed. I'm not sure how, Bree started. But oh, he loves pretty girls. Just bat your eyelashes and he'll melt. He'll be mad at me, but you girls will have to love us through it. Wait a minute, I groaned. I didn't exactly agree to any of this. Bree, like her usual whirlwind self, was sweeping us all along. Do you love Bree? Stokely asked me. Yes, I love her, on the other side of the city, I joked. Yeah, but we all need to be together, Maggie said. They all burst out laughing at my remark, and I had to join them. The idea was absurd. How had I lost control so quickly? As usual, Brianna had just taken over. What started as my little attempt to help the girls had snowballed into a marriage and adoption plan. It was wild how small actions could send your life spiraling out of control. I thought it was reckless, and told Bree so. When we got back to my house, there was a flurry of activity. Movers were everywhere, hauling in piles of stuff and placing them in different rooms. To my surprise, loads of women's clothes started showing up in Maggie and Stokely's rooms. Where did all this come from? I asked Maggie as she zipped past. Bree took us shopping a few times, she said, before disappearing into her room. Bree popped her head out of my bedroom. Mac, do you ever throw anything away? You still have things from when we were married. I'm getting rid of this junk. I need drawer and closet space. I rushed over to rescue my high school Letterman jacket from the trash. Stop it, Brianna, I shouted. You can't just throw my stuff away. If I didn't want it, I wouldn't keep it. This is my house, and I'll throw your Boney back out if you don't stop. She stuck her head out and glared at me. Boney back, huh? She snorted. Then she grabbed my sleeve and dragged me into the bedroom, which looked like a tornado had hit it. In one swift move, she locked the door, pulled her dress over her head, and leaned over the bed. My breath caught. She wasn't wearing any underwear. We made love, and the next morning I slept in until 10 o'clock. After stumbling into the shower, shaving, and freshening up, I finally felt somewhat human again. Bree was still asleep, her fiery red hair falling across her face as she lay on her stomach. Damn, her bum was incredible. I wandered into the living room and found Granville fast asleep, drooling all over a pile of my best shirts. I sighed, grabbed a glass of orange juice and a bun, and called to him. Come on, Grandma, let's get out of here. He lifted his head, rolled his eyes, and groaned as he got to his feet. We headed to the backyard, where he did his business before flopping down on my legs. The sun was warm, and I felt lazy, like a lizard basking in the heat. It was unusually warm for this time of year. The door opened, and Stokely stepped out with a glass of milk and a bun. Hello, Angel, I waved. Hi, Mac, she said, closing the door behind her. After a moment, she walked over to the glider where I was sitting. Is there room for me? She asked. I shifted over, and she curled up on my lap, resting her feet on the empty space. She sighed, took a bite of her bun, and looked at me with those big green eyes. Mac, she began, crumbs falling onto our laps. I interrupted. Finish eating, drink your milk, and then talk. She giggled and waited until her mouth was empty. Mac, she started again. If you adopt us, will you be our dad and Bree, our mom? Is that what you'd like? I asked. Oh yes, she said. Bree would be the coolest mom ever. You're not exactly cool, but you're reliable. I love you, and I think you'd be the best dad in the world." I almost choked. "Well," I muttered, "being reliable is better than being cool, right?" She laughed. "I didn't mean it like that. I just mean Bree's like a force of nature, and you're like a mountain. You know, she really, really loves you. She talks about you all the time. She's told us everything about you two. Do you love her?" "Yes, sweetie, but like you said, she's a force of nature. Loving her is like loving a thunderstorm or a wildfire." "Mountains don't care about thunderstorms or wildfires," she said. "Maggie looks a lot like her. I'm more like you." She pressed herself against my chest. "I think we could be the calm at the center of their storm." She looked up at me. "I want you to be our dad, Mac. I never thought we'd find someone like you. And Bree, too." Her voice cracked a little. "We were so scared and alone. Mac, do you have room in your life for girls like us?" I hugged her tighter. "In my heart, Stokely, there's always been a place for you and Maggie. I've wanted someone like you to love me. For years, I didn't think I'd ever have this. Bree never showed any interest in having kids. And I think you girls turned her world upside down just like you did mine. I've seen the way she looks at you. It's like she woke up one day and realized she loves being a mother. You've changed her." "You were right about her," she admitted. "She's amazing. It's overwhelming sometimes. She makes a decision and you just get pulled along." I laughed. "That's always been Bree." The first time I met her, I went to an amusement park with some college friends. She decided I was going to be her ride buddy. I'd actually gone because I liked another girl, but Bree dragged me away, and we never saw the rest of the group. We were 20, and I fell in love with her that day. She's like a virus. She invades your life and takes over. We had our first fight a month after we got married. "What did you fight about?" she asked. "You're going to think this is silly. It was about shoes. She kept moving mine and putting hers in their place. I had to dig through her stuff to find mine. She thinks I'm obsessive. She's probably right. But is it too much to ask that she keep her shoes on her side of the closet?" She exploded. And then I started driving her crazy, and she drove me crazy. I like to have a plan, and she's totally spontaneous. It's just who she is. I love that about her, but it also drives me nuts. She loves that I'm organized, but it drives her nuts. And those differences just kept clashing. Stokely giggled. "Maggie and I fight about stuff like that too. She's always losing things. And then she just decides on the spur of the moment what we're going to do. I think we need to change a little, Mac. We need to go with the flow more. But they need to change too. They need to understand we like things in their place. Do you think we can figure this out?" "I don't know," I admitted. Bree and I never had a reason to try. Our relationship is weird. I love her more now than when we were married, and I think she feels the same. But she's not one to talk about it. She just does things. We're closer now than we ever were when we were married. I like her better now. Back then I loved her, but we were always angry. We got to a point where we didn't need to change, but I think we were too immature and selfish. Maybe you and Maggie made us realize what we were missing. The idea of being a family is exciting, but also terrifying. What if we screw it up? We could lose everything. I hate that kind of risk." "I know, but sometimes you have to take a chance," she said. "You can't get anything good without risking that it might go wrong." I hugged her, and she snuggled against me. "You're the wisest 11-year-old I've ever met," I said. "I'll be 12 next month," she replied. We finished the bun and headed back home. The others were still asleep, so we took Grandma for a walk. By the time we returned, the sleepyheads were up. Bree and Maggie, never morning people, looked like groggy, beautiful cats, stretching and yawning. After their showers, they were like new, full of energy. Bree whisked us away to get our marriage license, file for adoption, and start temporary custody. Later, we had seafood for dinner, and the girls couldn't stop raving about the food and prices. "Wow, Mac, you must make a lot of money," Maggie said. I chuckled. "I make about $90,000 a year, which is more than enough to support us. But Bree? She makes 10 times more." They stared at her in shock. Bree laughed. "It's just money. The point is, we can treat you girls whenever you want. And honestly, Mac cooks better than most restaurants." "You cook?" Maggie asked. Bree nodded. "Yes, but simple things. Anyone can follow a recipe, but this guy, he's a genius in the kitchen." "She's pretty good too," I added. "If only she could stay focused." Bree playfully hit me. "Make one mistake and he'll never let it go," she joked. I grinned. "In our first year, she burnt food so badly, not even the dog would eat it. She'd take it outside and leave it under a tree like some kind of burnt offering. Everyone laughed. Bree, in a great mood, snuggled up to me and the girls giggled. "We've never eaten anywhere this nice," Maggie said. Bree gave her a serious look. "Maggie, say it again with confidence." Maggie smiled, straightened up, and repeated herself with pride. Bree grinned. "See, we may be from Detroit, but we've got class." The girls beamed, clearly proud. Over time, Bree taught them everything, from how to dress to how to walk, talk, and carry themselves. In just 6 months, they went from street smart to sophisticated, excelling in everything they did. That night, Bree was excited. Back home, she told the girls, "Turn on the TV and leave it on all night." They laughed, knowing what was coming next. She grabbed my hand and led me to the bedroom. "We're celebrating tonight," she said with a mischievous smile. "What are we celebrating?" I asked. "The start of something incredible," she whispered. "I love you, Mac. I'll remind you of that every night and show you just how special we are. Tonight, we take it to a new level. Ready?" "Show me," I said, feeling the heat between us. With a smile, she let her fiery red hair down. A rare sight. Her hair fell in waves down her back, making her even more irresistible. She turned, her eyes gleaming. "Unzip me," she murmured. I slowly unzipped her dress, feeling the tension build as the fabric slid off her shoulders. She stood before me in high heels and a lacy white bra, arching her back slightly, more stunning than ever. Bree always exuded confidence, but tonight was different. She radiated sensuality as she dropped her bra and teased, "Looks like you're overdressed." "And what are we going to do about that?" I asked, my voice full of anticipation. She moved closer, her body flowing smoothly, and gently pushed me onto the bed. Kneeling beside my hips, she unbuttoned my shirt, slipping it off and briefly trapping my arms before tossing it aside. With skilled hands, she undid my belt and pants, pulling them down along with my socks and shoes. I lay there, fully exposed, overwhelmed by her intensity. This wasn't just physical. It was Bree at her most vulnerable. We made love, and afterward, I felt a new depth in our connection. She looked at me, her eyes soft but full of emotion. "Mac, I love you," she said, her voice trembling. "I've been selfish, never really giving myself to anyone until now. Do you want me? I'm ready to be your friend, lover, wife, and a mother to the girls. Will you help me? Be patient with me. You'll never regret it." I kissed her deeply. "I love you more than anything. You'll need to be patient with me too. We're a team, and we can do this together." "I'll do anything for you and the girls," she whispered. "I'm scared I'll be a bad mom. I've always feared it. That's why I never wanted kids." "I don't know how to be a father either," I laughed. "But I think we'll figure it out." "I don't know how to be a good wife," she admitted. "We messed up before." "I know," I agreed. "But it wasn't all you." "It was," she said. "I was immature, but I'll try to grow up." "Me too," I said, holding her close. Eventually, we drifted off to sleep. The next morning, we showered together, laughing and teasing. Afterward, Bree put on her pajamas, glowing with happiness. "What's going on?" I asked. "We'll have guests soon," she said with a sly smile. I shrugged, put on some clothes, and sure enough, there was a knock at the door. Stokely burst in, followed by the family dog, and soon Maggie joined too. We had a playful wrestling match, with the dog winning, of course. After a while, we all headed out for breakfast. Later, Bree announced we had an appointment. "Where?" I asked, suspicious. "You'll see," she said with a grin. We drove to the courthouse, and as we entered, I started to understand. "Do you have business here?" I asked. "Yes, a very important case," she laughed. Inside, Bree knelt down and pulled a small box from her purse. "Mac, will you marry me again?" she asked, her voice confident. "This time, it's forever. I never stopped loving you, and I want to be your wife again." She held our old wedding rings along with her engagement ring. "Brianna, are you sure?" I asked, my heart racing. "I've never been more sure," she replied. "Girls, help me out. He's so stubborn." "Yes, please, Mac," they begged. "We want to be a family. We love you and Bree." How could I resist? In about 10 minutes, we were married again. To celebrate, Bree took us to a new Greek restaurant. As I sat there, looking at Bree, the girls, and our future, I felt my life unfolding. The most beautiful woman was my wife, and I had 2 amazing daughters who were growing up fast. Their happiness filled me with joy. Could we make this work? Only time would tell. It took a month to get custody of the girls. Bree worked tirelessly, and when it finally happened, they were the happiest I'd ever seen them. And so were we. Bree sold her apartment and moved in with me. I worried about us getting on each other's nerves, but it went better than I expected. A few weeks after the wedding, Bree forgot to call us after a dinner with a client. When she came home, we were all waiting. Stokely held up the phone, and Bree immediately realized her mistake. Without saying a word, she burst into tears, dropping to her knees in front of us. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "I forgot to call. I'll do my best not to let it happen again." Her apology was a turning point. Bree rarely apologized, so this showed real growth. Stokely hugged her first, then Maggie, and finally, I joined them. "It's okay, we understand," I said. From that moment, Bree and I made more effort to make each other happy, and the girls were great at helping us. We had small disagreements, but I'd never felt more content. Bree enrolled the girls in the private school where I taught, and we grew closer during our daily rides together. They shared their thoughts, dreams, and worries, filling my life with energy. After school, they'd do their homework, and then we'd walk the dog before dinner. Dinner was usually at 5, and Bree would join us around 6:30. If she was running late, she'd call, and we'd go out for dinner instead. When Maggie turned 16, she only wanted one thing: her driver's license. She studied hard and passed on her first try. The night before her birthday, Bree casually brought up a new idea in bed. "I want to buy Maggie a car," she said. "Okay, what kind?" I asked. "A new Camaro convertible," she said with a gleam in her eye. "How much will that cost?" I asked. "Mac, does it really matter?" she replied, rolling her eyes. "Do you think we're going broke?" "No, I'd just like to know," I chuckled. "Sorry," she smiled, kissing me. "I think it'll be about $60,000. I whistled. "That's a lot for a car." "She deserves it," Bree said softly. "Yes, she does," I agreed. We ordered the car, a bright yellow Camaro with black stripes and a sleek black interior. Bree insisted on getting the big V8 engine, thinking it would hold its value better. And although I had some reservations, she was probably right. When the car arrived, we parked it in the garage and waited until Maggie's birthday morning. The next day, as usual, the girls grabbed their bags and followed me to the car for school. Bree was already in the garage, but I hadn't unlocked the doors. "Dad, let us in," Stokely said, sounding confused. "You're not riding with me today," I said teasingly. Maggie looked puzzled. "You're driving, Maggie," I said, holding out the keys. "Mom's not going to work?" Maggie asked, still not catching on. "No," I said, motioning toward the garage. "She's leaving. But what are you going to drive?" Maggie looked confused, and then I pressed the garage door opener. As the door lifted, her new Camaro came into view. Her big green eyes widened in shock. They both stood still, speechless. Suddenly, Maggie started crying, tears streaming down her face as she trembled, unable to speak. I jumped out of the car, and Bree rushed over, wrapping her arms around Maggie. "What's wrong, honey?" I asked, worried. "We thought you'd be happy. This is your car. It's for your birthday." Maggie buried her face in Bree's chest, crying too hard to answer. Stokely hugged her too, and we stood there holding Maggie until she could calm down enough to talk. Finally, Maggie whispered, "I don't need a car. I love you both so much, and this is too much. Stokely and I already talked about it. We don't need anything. We just need you to love us." I kissed her cheek. "We love you so much, Maggie," Bree said, her voice shaking. "We love you both more than anything in the world. Having you in our lives is a dream come true. We love giving you things because it makes us happy to see you happy. It's one of the ways we show our love." Now Stokely was crying too. I hugged them both. "Let's go check out the car," I said gently. "At least take a look." They wiped their tears and let us lead them to the garage. I opened the driver's door for Maggie, and Bree opened the passenger side for Stokely. Maggie put her hands on the steering wheel, smiling through her tears. "It suits you," I told her softly. "Go ahead, start it up." Maggie turned the key, and the V8 engine roared to life. Both girls giggled through their tears, excitement starting to take over. I knocked on the window, and Maggie rolled it down. I leaned in and kissed her forehead. "See you at school," I said with a grin. She drove out of the garage and stopped just outside the driveway. Then she suddenly ran back, throwing herself into our arms, kissing us over and over. "I love you so much," she cried. "Thank you. You're the best mom and dad ever." She ran back to the car, and they drove off, the engine rumbling. I turned to Bree, and she was crying too. Somehow, I realized I had tears running down my face as well. "Look at us," I said, laughing through my tears. "You'd think we were the ones turning 16. "It was a great idea, Bree. You're incredible," I said, hugging her tightly. "For Stokely's 16th birthday, we did the same thing. It wasn't quite as emotional as Maggie's, but it was still a special moment. The girls were growing up fast, and our family was stronger than ever. We took them on trips to Hawaii and Belize, celebrated their achievements, and watched them grow into amazing young women. When Maggie graduated from high school, she was already well into her college studies. The day Stokely started college, I came home to find Bree sitting on the couch, crying. I sat down beside her and wrapped my arms around her. We sat in silence for a while, just holding each other. Eventually, Bree looked up at me, her blue eyes full of tears. "Our kids are grown up, Mac," she whispered. "I know," I replied, kissing her gently. "That's what kids do." She cupped my face in her hands, looking deeply into my eyes. "Let's have another one, Mac," she said, her voice trembling. "This time, just you and me. I want a baby, Mac." She broke down, crying harder. "I never thought I'd want this. I love you so much, and I miss them so much already. I want to do it again. It was so amazing. I know they're only 60 miles away, but I miss them." "I miss them too, kitten," I whispered, holding her close. "Maybe we should start practicing if we're serious about this baby." Bree gasped, looking up at me with wide eyes. "Really? You mean it? You want a baby?" "Of course," I said, smiling. "I hope it's a red-haired girl just like you. I love you with all my heart, Bree." I picked her up and carried her through the empty house to our bedroom, ready to start the next chapter of our lives. We had to kick Granville out of the room, but that didn't matter. We were building something new, something beautiful. As I drifted off to sleep, my eyes landed on the picture of Maggie and Stokely on the nightstand. They didn't look like strangers anymore. They looked like family.